Right, a very good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. And thank you for taking time out today. We're going to talk today on, perhaps a topic that we all may think that we know enough, but once we start talking about it, enough is never enough. We're going to talk today on how to focus or how to establish, or rather how to enhance a good relationship with your money. You see, financial stress, as we all know, can affect our mental well-being, our relationships, our physical health, and all of this can have severe consequences for an individual, the organization that we work for, and of course, our communities. People who experience financial well-being are less stressed about money. This in turn has positive effects on overall mental, physical health, and also on our relationships. Now, to talk to us more on how we can build a healthy relationship with our money, I'm pleased to introduce you to our keynote speaker for the day, Mr. Paul Butler. Paul is a senior financial planner at Skybound Wealth Management. He has been serving his clients for over 10 years in Dubai and has played an instrumental role in the development of countless new starters in the region. He's nurtured a number of strategic relationships with clients, building his reputation as a highly regarded financial planner in the Middle East. In his presentation today, Paul is going to talk to us about a 5-step money workout that we can all use, and I'm positive it would appeal to those who have assets already, down to those just starting out their financial journeys. And before I call upon Paul, just a word of encouragement to all our participants. Yes, you will not be able to unmute or open your videos. However, you can still we can still have the session interactive. You can engage by chatting or posting your thoughts and statements on the chat box. And towards the end, at the bottom of the screen, you will see a Q&A box. So if you have any questions, feel free to post your questions there, and Paul will be happy to address them once he's done with his presentation. So without further ado, may I introduce and call upon Paul to walk us through the presentation.
Thank you, Renzo. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. It's an absolute honor and a privilege to be talking to you. I'm Paul, and I'm your host today for today's live session, where we're giving your money and your finances a good 5-step workout. So, as Renzo has mentioned, I'm a UK qualified financial planner. I've been in finance and financial services for 25 plus years in the UK and here in the Middle East. I've been in the international space based in Dubai for nearly 13 years now, and I focus on helping expats across the GCC get money fit, really, and really engage with their own financial journeys. One of my responsibilities, among many, I feel, is that for all the people I work with, is that they not only just do better with their money, but feel better too. And I work with clients at all different levels. So that, as Renzo's mentioned, it could be you're just starting out on your financial journey. You could be partway through it. But I also deal with a lot of clients at the end of their careers and making sure that they're in the best place possible to enjoy their lifestyle without work in the way. I'm there for the good times and the not so good times, but ultimately it's about getting clients through to and through retirement and beyond. Okay, so financial well-being. Okay, the state of feeling healthy and happy kind of goes to many levels, right? It's a mental, it's a physical thing, it's relationships, it's so many different facets. Okay, and today's session really is, I think, a great opportunity for us to recognize the impacts a simple routine around your money and your finances can have on your overall well-being and how much of an integral part it is to your overall self-care. So today, my mission is to hopefully leave you feeling empowered and equipped to make some really positive changes or some additions and tweaks to what it is you're already doing. As Renzel mentioned, please feel free to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer them throughout, but if I don't get there, then I'll certainly try to answer them at the end of today's session. Okay, so let's get started. I want to make it interactive, so please be ready to participate, okay? All right. So one of the first questions I always ask clients that I sit down with for the first time is, so financial planning then, what have you done? Have you done nothing at all? I'll be fine. I've done a little bit, but I'm not quite sure where I'm going with it. Or I've actually built up some assets, but I'm not sure if I'm doing enough. Where would you guys say you are? Answers on the chat. Give me an A, B, or a C. Anyone? Oh, we've got a B. Excellent. Anyone else? Oh, there's another B. Excellent. Oh, an A. Done nothing at all. You'll be fine. Okay. Okay, getting some answers coming in now. Brilliant. Some A's and B's. All right. Okay. All right. That's interesting. I mean, I guess at this stage, what's really important is to really understand what financial planning actually is, right? So I'm sure there's many of you that think, well, financial planning really is just this, right? It's investment advice, which you're partly right. If you think that's it, then you're partly right. Of course, getting your money growing in a sensible way is really, really important, and it's an integral part of the overall process. But actually, financial planning really is all of this. It's about behavior. It's about building rituals around your money and your finances. And by putting those key behaviors in, it's key to relieving some stress and getting a better relationship with your money. Risk. What are the implications? And where are you vulnerable? What happens if you lost your job? You might become critically ill. Dare I say it, you passed away. What are the impacts on you and any people that are around you that might be relying on you if there was a financial shock to your status quo? When was the last time you stress tested those scenarios to ensure that you're minimizing any impacts? Objective setting, really important, really understanding what it is you actually wanted to achieve. And most importantly, by when? How prepared are you for future events? What does that mean from a financial perspective? Tax planning, something that's easy to overlook here in the UAE and the Middle East. We're in a very tax-friendly situation here, right? But many of us have either come from or maybe going back into a taxable environment. So how future-proofed are your assets to deal with that re-entry into a taxable environment? Okay, so really understanding what those implications are. Insurance kind of ties into the risk area and protection. How well are your assets protected? How well is your family protected? How well are you protected if there is a shock to your financial status quo? Estate planning. How are you going to pass on your assets? While it's common, I guess, to not even consider this sort of thing until later in life, again, it could happen a lot sooner than we might think. And, I guess the questions that come into this sort of area are, what would you want to happen if you were still here? What would you want to happen if you weren't? On a really basic level, do the most important people in your life know where to look for your investments? Do the institutions you're dealing with know who to contact if something were to happen to you? Some really basic stuff. Then I guess we get into investments and savings, and that could be new or existing, and understanding how these fit in to your overall picture. And then lastly, of course, we've got accountability, and that is, you accounting to yourself to make sure that you're achieving what it is you want to achieve. Might change your answer to the question above, right? But, you know, we've got lots of A's and B's, which is fine. I mean, I guess the next question is then, who has ever felt anxious or stressed out regarding their finances? I think we all have at some point, right? And I guess that is one of the key sources of stress and anxiety among all of us, me included. It's around money. And again, it really boils down to that relationship you have overall with your finances. And financial anxiety can manifest itself in many ways. In extreme cases, it can be debilitating to the point where it can be difficult to get through our days because everything relates to money. And it's often way more than worrying about just what's in the bank account, right? Some of you, if you answered A to the previous question, perhaps avoid their finances altogether. Some obsess about it. So where would you say you are? Do you A, stick your head in the sand? B, obsess about it? Or C, you sort of somewhere in the middle? Let's put some answers on the chat. Okay, we've got a question there, which I will get to. Any A's, B's or C's on, where are you? Are you obsessing? Are you sticking your head in the sand? Or are you somewhere in the middle? Oh, we've got a C. Good, excellent. I mean, I guess whichever answer you give to that question, I think all of these could probably cause equal amounts of stress and anxiety. Would you agree? You know, you might be overspending, but you're not looking, so you're getting a bit stressed out. You might be obsessing, so you're worried and stressed about spending any money at all. Or you might just have that underlying feeling, that underlying niggly feeling that you're not just quite in control. These are key areas that I want to try and address today. Give you some tools and a framework to remove the fog, reduce the stress, and get some control, right? So, are we ready? Say yes, Paul. I can't hear you, but yes, say yes, Paul. So let's go and give your money a good old workout. Okay, so step one, we always need a warm-up. Okay, in any financial plan, always needs a warm-up. And in this case, it's the audit. Who's ever done an audit on their finances? If you do, how often do you do one? What have you already got? Where's your money going? This isn't necessarily a budget. It's purely a let's get it all down on paper exercise. But it's the first crucial step to getting some control. See this as a review of your current position. Firstly, focus on what's going out. Some items may be variable, but just noting them down immediately visualizes what's going out month to month, right? Use a spreadsheet, of course, but if you want to just note them down, that's a great start, okay? And now doing a deep dive at this stage is really, really important because it can also unearth things that you might have neglected or, dare I say it, completely forgotten about. And it's an easy thing to do, especially if we're sat here as expats. Okay, this might be our first destination as an expat or our only destination as an expat, but we might have been to a few different places on our journeys as expats, which, you know, means that you might have accounts back home, you might have accounts where you've come from, and certainly you'll have accounts here as well. And it's very easy just to focus on what you've got here and now, rather than, you know, a neglect perhaps what's going on maybe back home. Just as an example, a client of mine recently said to me, well, Paul, I keep running out of money in my UK bank account. And I said, well, have you had a look to understand why? He said, no, I haven't. Right, okay. Well, let's do an audit. So he does his audit, and he realized that his fruit-based device ID was attached to his UK account along with his kids. And he swiftly realized that there was in excess of £300 per month, 1,500 dirhams per month going out on subscriptions to apps he didn't even know he had, let alone used. So I'm sure we've all done it before, right? Where we've signed up to the free trial and then forgot to cancel it. Yeah, I've done it. But there could also be some silly insurances on your credit card that you didn't realize that were there that just aren't fit for purpose, aren't going to serve you any benefit whatsoever. Equally, credit cards. We've all signed up to that free for a year credit card and forgotten about the annual subscription until it appears on the statement a year later, right? It's something easily forgotten about. And it's at this stage you can really look to sort these things out, okay? You know, you can really, you know, work on getting these things out of there. Are they fit for purpose? All right. Do they meet, are they right for you? Okay. Use some headline categories, of course, so you can put things in their boxes: groceries, travel, social, work, utilities, etc., etc. If you have debts, okay, no problem. If you've got debts, fine. Make a list of those debts. Put the smallest at the top of the list and the biggest at the bottom. And we'll work out, I'll show you a way how to deal with those a little bit later. Investments and insurances, if you have them, brilliant. But what are they for? How do they fit with your overall objectives? Are they fit for purpose? If there's a question mark on these, note it down and you can come back to it. But if it's clear you don't need them, get rid. It's really, really liberating. And guess what? It leaves you with more money. Okay. If you've got assets, brilliant. Property, pensions, shares, savings, investment accounts, note them down at this stage. And hopefully what this exercise will do is give you like an overall balance sheet of what you're actually worth. Some people don't do this because they don't like what the answer is going to be. But it's crucial you do this first stage and do that deep dive. Okay. So now that's all noted down. Hopefully we're nicely warmed up, right? We're ready to go. Okay. Excellent. So we're now on to step 2, which is budget. I'm sure most of you will have some sort of budget, be that annually, monthly, whatever it might be. But depending on how complex your finances are, a simple budget is just that another essential part of getting control, right? We can't plan for everything, but reducing the chances of financial shocks, and that could be as simply by knowing when things are due, is a fantastic way of removing stress and anxiety and improving your relationship with your money. Okay. A simple way to look at this is kind of needs, wants, and savings. And a popular way to look at this is look at your needs first. 50% allocated to your needs, stuff you need to survive. You need to eat. You got to live somewhere. You got to get to and from work. You got to pay your water and electricity. D was important. Loan payments, etc., etc. Okay, that's 50%. 30% on nice stuff: travel, leisure, entertainment, meals out. Okay, 20% needs to be allocated towards emergency funds, future events. Could be retirement, could be the big wedding, could be sending the kids to university and paying off debt. This is a great start and a great guide, but try not to get hooked on the 20%, because the 20% may not be enough. Working with a professional can help you understand what that number actually is, but as a real good start, this is a very popular way of setting things out. Okay, a couple of key things though I think it's really important to incorporate. Okay, first one for me is paying yourself first. We're all expats in the UAE, or most of us are, I'm sure, and we all love our tax-free earnings, right? But with that, it's also likely that there aren't things done for us. So if you're in the US, you've got a 401k, that's done for you. If you're in Australia, you've got a superannuation, that's done for you. In the UK and Europe, there are pension schemes that are all done for you. But here, whilst the landscape's changing rapidly, it's not done for us. So it's down to us to make sure that we do it ourselves. So far from being automated, it's not, okay, largely. So let me ask you this question, okay, and be brutally honest with yourself, guys. Do you A, spend, pay bills, spend a bit more and save what's left? Or do you B, save first, pay bills, and then spend what's left? Let's put some answers on the chat. Oh, lots of A's. Goodness me. So we're planning on, oh, there's a B. Wonderful. Excellent. Good bit of balance there. Brilliant. Okay, some B's. Good. Yeah. Okay, so we're consciously saving. That's good. Or we're saving by accident. Excellent. Okay, brilliant. Okay. I think it's, you know, it's really interesting how you're answering those. But I think it's really important that paying yourself first is an integral part of your budget. Call it a tax on your income, call it whatever you like, but we all work hard for our money, right? So park something for yourself and your future you, and then deal with what's left. But feel comfortable then with that spend in the knowledge that you've already put something away for future you. Future you will love you for it. The second integral part I think is really, really important is to have what I call an emergency fund or a cash cushion. A recent stat from the UK said that circa 80% of the UK working population could survive for less than a month on their savings. So how much do you think you should have? Less than a month? Are we fine? 3 months expenses or 6 months expenses? What do you think? A, B or C? 6 months, yeah. Yeah, good. Yeah. A year. Wow. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Great. Okay. We're thinking along the right lines. Brilliant. This is literally cash in the bank. It's a separate account, almost like a just in case the AC breaks down and needs fixing, the car blows up, you might fall ill or a family member might fall ill and you need to take time out to go and look after them. It may be that you find yourself out of a job, in which case the more senior you are, the more the more senior you are, the longer it might take to get that next position. So absolutely key to have some cash set aside to cover those instances, right? What's important is, though, we can't have necessarily too much down here because it generally is just cash in a bank and it needs to be managed properly, okay? But a lot of the time it can sit behind this invisible line, which is called inflation. And that's something that's really reared its ugly head over the last couple of years. Inflation, cost of living increases, etc., etc. I guess the good news with that, though, is that we now have interest rates and rates of return available from the banks. So it's really important that we manage that cash effectively, making sure that it's trying to, as best it can, keep up with inflation. I guess, you know, the important thing is, it sounds ridiculous, right? But if I said to you, guys, I've got this brilliant new plan. All I need you to do is put all your cash in there. And I guarantee you, I'll lose you 3% a year. Would you sign up for it? Of course you wouldn't. But that's what you're doing if it's just sat in a current account with no rates of return or no interest on it. So imperative that we have some there, not too much, but making sure that it's managed so that the real value isn't being eroded too quickly. Make sense? Excellent. The next slide is a bit like having a set of envelopes. I use this analogy quite a lot, kind of showing my age a little bit, but it's about making sure you have enough in each envelope for when everything needs paying. I use this analogy because it reminds me of my grandparents, right? When I was a very young boy, my granddad used to come in each week with his pay packet in a little brown envelope. My grandmother used to take that and said, thanks very much. She would march into the kitchen and she would have on the kitchen bench a whole array of envelopes with different things on them. So it'd be mortgage, water, gas, electricity, birthday, holiday, Christmas, etc., etc., etc. And she would put a little bit in each one, okay, and make sure that there was enough in each one for when each one needed paying. And whatever was left, she would give back to my granddad and he would go out and spend that at the weekend. So we do that a bit more in a sophisticated way, but, you know, tried and tested methods do tend to work. So call it jam jars, call it envelopes. Make sure you've got enough in each envelope for when everything is due. So as I say, make sure you've got a by when on everything. Okay. So now, hopefully, we've done a good audit. We've got rid of what we don't need. We've got some clarity with a decent budget, okay? So we're really getting into our stride a little bit now. Heart rates are up, right? Let's talk about debt. Okay, we've all had debt at some point in our lives. I'm not suggesting all debt is bad debt. However, it can be one of the most major causes of stress and anxiety among all of us by not being in control of that debt. But getting control is a huge de-stress, okay? And it's very gratifying to know that you're managing it, okay? There are many ways of dealing with debt. A popular way I tend to find with a lot of my clients is what I call what's known as the snowball effect. Okay, so take your list of debts. Could look a bit like this. Okay, we've got minimum payment on debt 1, 100, debt 2, 200, and we've got a loan with £200 minimum payment, use pounds in this case, but the currency doesn't really matter. So your total minimum payment is 500 per month. Okay. Look at your budget. What else extra on top of that can we afford to put against that? Let's say we've got a budget of 900. Okay, so what we're going to do, initially, we're going to put all of that extra 400 to debt 1. Pay that off. Once we've paid that off, we're going to put everything down onto debt 2. So we're now paying 700 a month off debt 2. Once that's cleared, we're then going to move it on to the largest loan and pay that or that full amount off the debt 3. Okay, so before you know it, you could be debt free, or certainly you'll have it massively under control. And I guess most importantly, you'll know and at least have an idea of how long it's going to take you to get that debt paid off. Okay. Now, some of you might be saying, "Oh, but surely I should be paying the largest debt off first." Okay, with the highest interest or whatever it might be. And yes, you can do that. I'm not suggesting you don't. But what I've found in my years of looking after clients and coaching them is that we are human beings. We're not robots. And to have a little win along the way always keeps us enthused and keeps us on track and keeps us going and seeing it through to the end. But again, it's up to you. But this I find a very effective way of dealing with debt. Okay, so we're now feeling the burn. Okay, but we're feeling good. We've got some clarity. We've got rid of what we don't need. We've got a good budget. We know what's going out when, etc., etc. All is good. So hopefully by now we can move on to stage 3, the planning phase. Okay, with some clarity and some bandwidth and some headspace that's been created by doing a good audit and a good budget, we can now ask some more pertinent questions about why we're doing what we're doing, what are we doing here and where we're headed, and ultimately, what do we want out of life, right? Big questions, but stuff we need to deal with, okay? So let's get thinking again. Who goes to the gym or does sport? Who feels maybe perhaps they should be doing more? I'm very much a work in progress. But why do we do that? I'm sure lots of you have degrees, MBAs, internal qualifications, etc., etc. All good stuff. But why do we do that? And again, sounds obvious, but why do we need a good night's sleep? Well, we do these things for a reason, right? We do them on purpose because we want to be fitter. We want to be more alert. We want to be better. We want to be more focused. We want to be a better or the best version of ourselves, right? So these are some examples of some whys, but so we're doing all these good things, we're pursuing our careers and we're feeling good, brilliant. But if we're getting towards the best version of ourselves, we're putting ourselves in a better position to get a better job and earn some more money, right? Let's not beat around the bush and talk about money being vulgar. No, okay? It's an essential ingredient to our overall well-being in this day and age, right? So most of us will like a few of the nice things in life. And if I could see you in person, I'm sure there would be a few labels dotted about and so on and so forth. And why not? And so you should. Life is about living. So it's about lifestyle, right? It's about not having to worry. It's about doing the nice things. But to do this, we all need fun coupons. And we all need our fun coupons to live the lives we want to lead, and we don't want them to run out, right? But it's all fine and well that we don't want them to run out, but we must be asking ourselves the bigger question: what's the bigger picture? What does that look like? What are the future events that are coming for you that are really important to you? What do you want to achieve? What kind of lifestyle do you want to maintain? Yeah. The good news is we're all fit and healthy enough at the moment to go out and earn our fun coupons. But do you want to do that forever? Can you do it forever? And do you want to have to do it forever? Maybe, maybe not. I see there being two parts to our lives, really. Okay. The first part, or one part of our lives, is our working life. The second part, kind of split into two, is our non-working lives. And the first part of our non-working life is maybe sort of 0 to 18, right? Who's that down to? Well, generally that's down to our parents to make sure that that's all sorted out and we're educated and everything else. The working life is where we're earning our money. It's where we're creating our wealth. And we can do that for 20, 30, 40 years. But then we get into the second part of our non-working life, 55, 60, 65, up to 90 plus. Who's that down to? Well, that's down to us, isn't it? That's down to us as individuals to make sure that we've still got enough fun coupons to make sure that for the next 20, 30 years of not working, we're not running out of our fun coupons. So I guess you need to ask yourself the question, if you wanted to, or dare I say it, had to stop working for your fun coupons, how fit are your finances to deal with that? You work hard for your money, but is your money working hard for you? How fit is your money? I think we agreed then that we must do something with some of the fun coupons we're earning today so that we've still got some fun coupons in the future, right? So we need a plan. Most importantly, though, it's about having a plan that's done on purpose, not by accident. There are clients I deal with that have money, but invariably they've either inherited it, married into it, or sold their businesses. Now that is the minority. The majority of the people I deal with and work with have started out with $500 a month, $1,000 a month, 50,000 US dollars or less, but they've stuck to the process over many, many years, and now they have money. So it's really important to be conscious of taking the small steps, however small that might be. A lot of people will say to me, well, I can't save anything. Well, can you save $5? Well, yes, I can. Right, we'll save $5 then, right? However that small step is, make sure you're doing the small steps. Remember, success is the journey. It's not necessarily just the final destination. So we've got to have some fun along the way, guys, all right? So we're in the planning phase of this workout now, and it's where we're asking the bigger, sometimes more awkward, difficult questions, but we're pushing through the burn to answer them, right? So, but hopefully, as I say, with a good audit, good budget, getting rid of the chaff, the bandwidth is there. So we're now paying ourselves first. Okay, brilliant. If you're already doing that, fantastic. Okay. But it's very easy, unless you've really got some strong reasons why, it's very easy sometimes to lose momentum and stop. But we've got a bit of an understanding of what whys are. And, you know, ultimately now we're in a position where we can start setting some goals. Okay. So what are your goals? Okay. If we all have goals, okay, could be short term, medium term, long term, whatever they are. It's important that we start noting those down now and understanding what they are. Has anyone got some goals they want to achieve? They want to share that they want to achieve? Early retirement. Okay. Yes, we all want to retire early, I think. Absolutely. Very important. Okay, look, I mean, it could be property, it could be buy a house, yep, Financial freedom, perfect. Yeah, all good stuff, right? 80% free time, 20% work. Excellent. Having the choice, really, really important. Yeah. How much do we need to accumulate to quit the job? Really depends on what your lifestyle is and where you want to retire, the jurisdiction you're going to be in, the tax situation, and all that kind of stuff. But that's something that we can talk about. And working with a professional, you can really understand what your numbers are, because that's really important to understand that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, okay. Is it buying property? Is it having the choice not to work every day? Is it sending the kids to university? Whatever it might be, fantastic. List down those goals. Set a timeline. Okay. When do you need to achieve that? Okay. What's your timeline? I think it's a really good way to focus and really focus on the important bits as well with the timeline. You know, I've sat with countless people over the years where they say, well, I'm 40 years old today and I'd like the choice at 60, but that's ages away. It's 20 years. I'll sort it out next year. Okay. Well, if it's 20 years away, why is the number 240 really, really important to you? Well, that's the number of paydays you've got left until you're 60. If you've got the privilege of 20 years to go. If, like me, you've got a 6-year-old child, okay, you want to send them to university. Mine are British, so they're going to probably go to the UK, which is very, very expensive. But the amount of people that say to me, well, that's 12 years away. I've got plenty of time to worry about that. And it's only 144 paydays. Kind of focuses the mind a little bit, right? So you've set your goal, you've got your timeline. Now you've got to set a budget. This isn't necessarily about depriving yourself. We've got to have some fun along the way, but make sure you're setting a budget to whatever those goals might be. And at least you're putting something in the envelope each month or each year. It's really important to attach some emotion to these things, okay? Really, really important. And I think that keeps you on track, and it really gives you some purpose and understanding what your whys are. And I guess one way of doing this is to ask yourself, how would you feel if you couldn't buy the property you always wanted? You couldn't send your children to the best university or school that you wanted to send them to. You couldn't buy your partner the presents you always wanted or he wanted. You were still in debt in 10 years' time, or you had no choice but to carry on working. Let's put it another way. How would you feel if you did achieve those things? Have a think about that. A lot of people have some of the goals we've mentioned, a whole bunch of others, right? Most important thing is time is not for sale, guys. So what's your plan? So now we can understand we've got some goals, okay? We've got some timelines, we've got some budgets. We may not know what the actual numbers are, but we can work that out, okay? But now we can start building some sort of roadmap, some timeline according to your situation. Again, it's all a personal thing, right? But what I tend to find is that there are some common things that most clients need to look at. Number one is that cash cushion we spoke about. Make sure you've got a properly managed cash cushion, 3, 6, 12 months, whatever cash in place that's there for you should you need it. Number two is medical. Okay, being in the UAE and the GCC, that's generally provided for us. Okay, but if we're moving country, it may not be. So understand what that looks like, understand what the costs are. Number three, protection, if it's relevant, okay? Really important to make sure that your loved ones, your family are protected if there is a financial shock to you. And what does that look like if you passed away, if you fell very, very ill, or you couldn't work for whatever reason, you found yourself out of work? How protected are you and your assets, more than anything, if there was a financial shock? Number three, property, okay? A lot of clients have property on their radar. Brilliant. Always encourage clients to have property in their portfolio. Okay, it's one of the big boxes that we need to fill, having a roof over your head at some point. Okay, but when do you want to be able to buy that property? How much do you want to spend on that property? Do you want to buy it for cash? Do you want to just put a deposit down? What do you need to do by when? Really, really important to understand that. Again, number five, okay, is children. If you have them, you wouldn't change it for the world. You love them to bits, but they're expensive. I have three. Trust me, they are expensive. But what do you want to provide for them? Is it the wedding? Is it the property? Is it paying for the university? Is that something that's of a concern to you? If it is, let's understand how long you've got to get there. How many paydays have you got to get to that number? Okay. And then I guess the last one, the big one, the vision, the choice of not having to work every day. When do you want to be there? How much wealth do you need to accumulate in order to be able to live the lifestyle you want to live in the jurisdiction that you want to live in? How are you going to do it? Okay. I think it's also important to prioritize here at this point as well. I look at these as some of these as likes to haves and definites. Okay. The likes to haves, I'd like to buy some more property. I'd like to send my children to university. I'd like to go on holiday this year, and I'd really like to go out for dinner next week. But it's not going to stop the fact that at some stage I'm going to die and I'm going to have to stop working at some point. So they're for me the two key definites. Make sure they're covered, okay, and then we can look at the likes after that. Okay, so now we just got to do it, right? But how do we do that? How do we do it? I don't know. All right, again, it's a personal thing, depends on what the situation is, okay? But how much should I be saving? Well, working with a professional, you can understand exactly what your numbers are, okay? But there are plenty of tools that you can get online that can help you with that. There's also some tools that I can provide you with by clicking on the QR code at the end of this session. But let's just use an example. Let's say you needed to save 500,000. Call it dollars as an example. Currency doesn't really matter, but let's say you needed to raise 500,000 for whatever goal it is you wanted to achieve: buy a property, send the kids to university, whatever it might be. If you had the privilege of 240 paydays, then that's going to cost around about £1,200 a month. Okay. If you thought you had ages and left it for 10 years and you've only got 120 paydays to go, that means 3,200 a month. It's a big jump, a big jump. It's nearly trebling from 20 years to 10 years. Most importantly, I guess, is look at the input that you've got to put in to get to that number. Okay, yes, we could get more growth, we could get less growth, but look at the difference in what you have to put in to get to that golden number in either 10 or 20 years. And of course, I haven't noticed this down, but if we got no growth on our money, okay, then the number's even higher still. So really important to be getting in there early. Okay, time isn't for sale, time's not going to stop. Bills don't stop if we're out of work. Okay, we really need to focus on our timelines, okay, and make sure that you're doing whatever it is you can to get to whatever it is, whatever goals you want to achieve. Okay, but again, we've got to have some fun along the way. Life is for living. Okay, remember that. All right, excellent. So hopefully now we've got good audit, good budget. We've covered our debts off. We know we're doing that. We're not having any financial shocks. We set some goals. We set a budget to that, and we're saving. We're paying ourselves first. Brilliant. Then move on to the next stage. Kind of ties in with the paying yourself first. Is automate. Always automate. If you're saving for the house, brilliant. Automate it. Set the budget. Automate it. If you're saving for your cash cushion, brilliant. Set the budget. Automate it. Saving for your retirement. Set the budget, automate it. Do not give yourself the option to have a conversation or a discussion or a debate with yourself each month to say, how much am I going to put towards it this month? Set the budget, automate it. Okay, really, really, really important. Okay, it takes away the idea of, well, I've got Johnny's birthday next month, so I'm just gonna, or I've got, I just need to, no, none of that. Automate it. It's gone. Deal with what's left. Future you will love you for it. Believe me. Okay. All right. It's not the final piece of the puzzle. The final piece of our workout today is all good plans need a review. Okay, really important to review. Check in regularly with your budget. Check in regularly with your goals and your whys. Make sure you're on track. Times change, jobs change, locations change, income changes, hopefully for the better. Don't let lifestyle creep come in when you get a pay rise. Make sure that it's all relative to achieving what it is you need to achieve on your future goals. Okay, really, really important. Sometimes I call it about like putting a date night in with your money. Okay, check in every month with your money. Have a date night. Okay, don't swerve it. Don't put your head in the sand. Okay, but have that date night with your money. And honestly, the relationship with your money will get better and better and better. Yes, there will be some ups and downs and there'll be some arguments along the way, but all good relationships need that, right? Okay, really important. But remember, take the small steps. So when I sit down with a client, if you imagine going to the gym or starting a workout regime, if you did the same workout every day, day in, day out, you'll see some improvement to start with, and then you'll start to plateau and probably go backwards at some point, right? So when I'm sitting down with clients, it's really important when we do our reviews that we look to see if we can make those little increments every time to get us closer and closer and closer. And taking those small steps so you don't even realize that from down here, you're already up here, but you don't even realize. That's what's getting fit with your money's about, okay? Take those small steps. So there's your 5-step money workout, guys. Audit, understand what's going out, get rid of what you don't need. Budget, understand what's going out by when, making sure your envelopes are full at the right times. Plan, ask yourself those bigger questions, look at future you. Where do you want to be? What are those key moments, key points in your life that are going to come up and get you, that are going to impact you financially? Automate it, give yourself no choice. And finally, review. Okay. All right. Now, ultimately, financial planning doesn't need to be difficult and complex. It can be, but with getting fit, there has to be a little bit of pain along the way, right? So, but by understanding your budget, focusing on your whys, you can de-stress, be a lot less anxious, and really make some positive changes to your own self-care. To wrap things up today, some of you may be sitting there thinking, well, how do I do it? Well, first of all, there's some tools on budgeting and goal setting that I can send you by clicking on the QR code at the end of the session. Okay, but you are all capable people. Okay, you're all well-educated people. There are plenty of online tools that can help you with how much you need to save for the smaller goals and the bigger goals as well. So, you know, I would urge you to try and do that. But if you're still sat there thinking, well, I haven't got time, I don't know what I'm doing, you could use a coach, okay? I use a coach for 3 key areas of my life. I have a fitness coach, very much a work in progress, as I've said already. I have a business coach and I have a mentor. 3 key areas of my life: my fitness, my business, and my overall mental health. And I find there's 3 key benefits of using a coach, okay? Number 1, knowledge. They know stuff I don't. And 2, it saves me time, because with their knowledge and their guidance, they're going to get me from A to B a lot quicker than if I was trying to do this on my own. And 3, it's accountability. They keep me on track. If you want to hit the snooze button, you want to hit the I'll do it tomorrow button or I'll do it next week button, then you're not only letting yourself down, you're letting somebody else down and you're wasting their time as well. That's essentially what I do. I'm a money coach. Okay, so I will give my clients knowledge on what they need to do relative to their situation. I get them to their goals a lot quicker than perhaps if they were going to do that on their own. And 3, I do hold them accountable. And accountability is much more than just a buzzword, I think. I think it's a commitment to take ownership on decisions, actions, and outcomes and a recognition of the paths we choose and the results we produce. So be accountable, guys. Last word from me today. You are the captains of your own ships, and it's up to you where you want to steer them. But I really hope you've taken some value out of today. Okay. Do please click on the QR code where I'm offering a free introductory session, no charge, plus some handy tools for budgeting and understanding what your goals are and so on and so forth. But I really hope you've enjoyed today. Thank you for joining me. Okay, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.